The unlikely harvest. The scent of money, Martin had decided long ago, was the sterile, ozone-tinged smell of a high-end air purifier, overlaying the faint, expensive notes of lemon-polished teak and bespoke leather. It was the absence of smell, really, a curated void. From his home office on the third floor, he could see the manicured geometry of his Beverly Hills estate, each hedge a soldier at attention, each blossom in the garden bed a paid actor in the production of his perfect life. At 62, his fortune was a fortress, built brick by ruthless brick, from a shipping container logistics company that moved the world's unnoticed things. Yet the quiet that evening felt less like peace and more like an acute, echoing loneliness. The divorce papers were 5 years cold. His daughter, Alara, a brilliant, stormy astrophysics PhD, was currently not speaking to him. "Your emotional range is a binary system, Dad, 0 or 1 billion. And his only conversation that day had been with a merger-prone board member named Arthur. It was the rustling that broke the silence. Not the wind, the air was still. A furtive scraping sound from the side gate near the 6-car garage. Martin's security system, a discreet panoply of cameras, had flagged nothing. Intrigued, more than alarmed, he peered out. There, in the deepening indigo twilight, was a small, grimy silhouette, half disappeared into the large trash bin where his housekeeper, Rosa, had disposed of the week's excess. He watched for a moment. The figure emerged, clutching something, the leftover sourdough loaf from the farmer's market, the one Rosa deemed too stale. The child, it was a girl he could see now, maybe 8 or 9, didn't run. She just stood, clutching her prize, her eyes wide and defiant in a face smudged with dirt and what looked like old tears. She wore sneakers split at the toes and a puffy jacket too thin for the California winter night. Martin's first impulse, honed by decades of risk assessment, was to call security. His second, a strange atrophied muscle he barely recognized, was to simply observe. Her hunger was not a concept. It was in the frantic way she shoved a piece of the bread into her mouth, barely chewing. He moved, and the motion sensor light by the garage flooded the area. She froze, a deer in the devastating glare. But she didn't drop the bread. "That's my trash," Martin said, his voice sounding absurdly formal in the night air. "It's outside," she retorted, her voice scratchy but clear. A spark in her. Finders keepers. A begrudging smile touched his lips. "Logical. What's your name?" A long pause. "Maya." "Are you alone, Maya?" She shrugged, a world of hurt in the gesture. He looked past her, into the dark beyond his property line. The fortress mentality warred with a sudden, visceral memory, himself at 10, standing outside a locked apartment door, knowing his mother was working a double shift and wouldn't be home for hours, his stomach a hollow ache. "Wait here," he said, and disappeared inside. He returned with a glass of milk and a banana. He set them on the closed lid of the neighboring recycling bin, a makeshift table, and stepped back. She eyed him, then the food, then darted forward, snatching them. She drank the milk in one long, desperate gulp. "The garage," he heard himself say. "It's heated. There's a sink in the back near the gardening supplies. You can sleep there tonight. No one will bother you. In the morning, we'll figure something out." Her suspicion was a physical barrier, but the night was cold, and the garage, with its light now on, looked like a palace. She gave a single, sharp nod. The garage was not a garage as most knew it. It was a climate-controlled space housing vintage cars that were more art than transport. In the far corner, behind a Rolls-Royce Phantom, was a sink used for filling watering cans and a stack of old moving blankets. Martin brought down a pillow and a proper duvet. He also brought a small battery-powered radio, for company, he muttered, avoiding his eyes. The next morning, Rosa found them. Martin was at the large kitchen island, scanning financial reports on his tablet. Maya was at the far end, eating a bowl of cereal with surgical focus, having bathed and wearing an old Beverly Hills prep sweatshirt of Alara's that Rosa had magically produced. Rosa took in the scene, the billionaire, the feral child, and her face, usually a mask of professional composure, softened into a network of wise lines. She said nothing, just walked over, refilled Maya's orange juice, and placed a gentle hand on her damp hair. "Pobrecita," she murmured, so only Maya could hear. That small kindness, the first maternal touch Maya had likely felt in weeks, made the girl's shoulders slump, not in defeat, but in relief. Martin's figuring something out became an open-ended experiment. Maya stayed. He learned she'd run from a fractured foster situation. She was sharp, observant, and carried a silence that was heavier than any child should be. The garage became her room. He installed a proper cot, a bookshelf. She liked the cars, especially a 1967 Ford Mustang in gleaming blue. "It looks like it could run away," she said once, and he understood completely. The first true crack in Martin's curated world came with food. Maya was ravenous, but also fascinated by its creation. One evening, watching Rosa season chicken, Maya whispered, "My grandma used to use paprika like that. She said it was like sunshine you could taste." The next day, Martin found Maya and Rosa at the island rolling out dough for empanadas. Flour dusted the air, smelling of warm toasted wheat. Maya's small hands were clumsy but determined, pinching the edges shut. Rosa was telling a story about her own abuela in Guadalajara. Martin stood in the doorway, transfixed. This was not the silent, efficient service he was used to. This was noise, mess, life. He turned to leave, but Rosa's voice stopped him. "Senor Martin, we made extra. You will join us?" He ate at the grand dining table that night, alone as usual, but the empanada on his fine china was warm, flaky, and filled with spiced pork and potatoes. It tasted, improbably, of belonging. The story, of course, could not be contained. Alara heard it from Rosa, who she called weekly for the real household news. She arrived unannounced one Saturday, a whirlwind of denim and academic intensity. She found Maya on the floor of the library, carefully organizing Martin's first edition books by color, which made him twitch, but which Maya insisted makes them happier. "So you're the garage gremlin," Alara said, crouching down. "I'm Maya. I'm Alara, the disillusioned daughter." She shot a look at Martin. "He letting you read these or just admire the bindings?" "He said I could read anyone," Maya said, pointing to a massive illustrated copy of Dohler's Book of Greek Myths. "But it's heavy." Alara spent the afternoon on the floor with her, explaining the constellations named after the myths. That night, for the first time in years, Alara stayed for dinner. Martin ordered sushi, but Maya eyed the strange raw fish with distrust. With a sigh, Alara dragged her to the kitchen and they made grilled cheese sandwiches, the smell of browning butter and melting cheddar cutting through the delicate scent of sashimi. Martin ate his tuna nigiri, but his eyes kept drifting to the perfect golden triangles on the girls' plates, to the easy laughter as Alara imitated Zeus's terrible decisions. Seasons turned. Maya became a quiet thread woven into the fabric of the house. She started school online with a tutor Martin hired. She loved math, its clean, solvable problems. She began tending a small, messy herb garden in pots by the garage door. Basil, mint, thyme, their scents mingling with the car wax and concrete. The air purifiers couldn't filter out the smell of living things. The true transformation, however, was in the rituals. The big, lonely kitchen became a stage for small, shared productions. Saturday mornings were for pancakes. Maya loved chocolate chip. Alara, when she visited, preferred blueberry. And Martin, after a lifetime of black coffee and grapefruit, rediscovered the simple pleasure of real maple syrup. They'd eat at the island, elbows touching, the weekend sunlight streaming in. One rainy Thursday, Maya had a bad day. A math concept evaded her, and the frustration unlocked a deep well of grief for the grandmother she'd lost. She hid in the garage. Martin found her curled by the Mustang's tire. He didn't know what to say, so he did what he knew. He fixed a problem. "Come on," he said. He drove her to a giant supermarket, a place he usually sent assistants to. He pushed the cart, following her vague instructions. "She used to make this soup when I was sad," Maya mumbled, picking up celery, a chicken, wide egg noodles, and a peculiar-looking herb bundle called dill. Back home, they stood side by side at the stove. He chopped, clumsily, under her direction. "Smaller, Martin, it's not lumber," she called him by his name. He was neither Sir nor Dad. He was Martin, and in that neutrality, a unique space was born. They simmered the chicken, skimmed the fat, added the vegetables, the kitchen filled with a profound, savory, golden smell, the smell of care. When the soup was done, they ate it at the island, steam fogging the windows against the rain. It was imperfect, the noodles a little mushy, the salt slightly off, but it was the best meal Martin could remember. Maya's tears had stopped. They had been absorbed somehow into the broth. The crisis came a year later. A social worker, tipped off by a vigilant neighbor, appeared. The world of rules and systems which Martin had always mastered now threatened to dismantle this fragile, handmade family. Papers were served, hearings were scheduled. Martin hired the best family lawyer in the state, but the fear in Maya's eyes was a cold knife in his heart. She stopped eating. She started sleeping in the Mustang again, as if ready for a quick escape. The night before the final custody hearing, Alara came over. The three of them were in the living room, a tense silence hanging between them. The doorbell rang. It was Rosa, off duty, holding a large, still warm ceramic pot. "Pozole," she said, bustling in, for strength. She set it on the coffee table, alongside bowls and a plate of toppings, shredded cabbage, radishes, lime, and oregano. "My mother made this for every hard thing. You eat, you face it together." They served themselves the rich, hominy-filled stew of vibrant red. The act of assembling the bowls, a squeeze of lime here, a sprinkle of oregano there, broke the paralysis. As they ate, the spicy, complex broth warming them from the inside, they began to talk. Not about lawyers, but about Maya's upcoming science project on constellations, about Alara's breakthrough in her research, about how the Mustang's engine needed a tune-up. They were just three people sharing a meal, fortifying themselves against the coming storm. In the courtroom, Martin's lawyer spoke of financial stability, of private schools, of impeccable references. But when the judge asked Maya, very gently, where she felt she belonged, she didn't speak of the garage or the money. She spoke of the smell of empanadas on a Tuesday evening. She described the sound of the radio playing old songs while she fell asleep. She talked about the feel of flour on her hands, the taste of slightly too salty soup on a rainy day, and the way the kitchen light made the steam from Rosa's pozole look like a ghost dancing, holding them all together. She talked about the shared hustle of daily life, homework at the island, watering the herbs, learning to change a tire on the Mustang because everyone should know how to run away properly, even if they choose to stay. She said, "Home is where they know how your soup should taste." The judge, an older woman with kind eyes, nodded slowly. The paperwork called it temporary guardianship leading to adoption. They called it family. The graduation, years later, was from high school, not an Ivy League law school or a business summit. Maya, in a blue cap and gown, a young woman with calm eyes and her grandmother's smile, had won a scholarship to study agricultural science. She wanted to work on urban food sustainability, to help things grow in unlikely places, she said. The celebration was not at a country club, but in their backyard. Martin's pristine garden had surrendered one corner to Maya's expanding project, raised beds of vegetables, a small lemon tree, hummingbird feeders. Neighbors, teachers, and a few of Maya's friends milled about, their laughter blending with the chirping of the birds Maya had lured into the garden. Martin looked around. The fortress walls had long since crumbled, not through siege, but through a quiet, persistent invasion of love. It had started with a child in the trash, drawn by the scent of discarded bread. It had led to this, a messy, vibrant, fragrant harvest of connection. Alara came up, slipping an arm around his waist. "You know," she said, her head leaning on his shoulder, "for a man whose emotional range was a binary system, you've developed some pretty impressive nuance." He kissed her hair. It was a software update, took a while to install. Maya walked over, holding 2 glasses of lemonade made from her own lemons. She handed one to Martin. "To the garage," she said, her eyes bright. "To the garage," he echoed, "and to the kitchen, and to every messy, beautiful, everyday moment in between." He clinked his glass against hers, the sound clear and sweet in the golden evening light, a perfect note in the symphony of their unlikely, heartwarming, and utterly universal home.